Well, good morning. I'm Petra Weldes, the Spiritual Director here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and we're just delighted that you're with us this morning on this beautiful fall morning. We have a lovely new member celebration, new member ritual during the service this morning, and the teens have made us lunch so that you get to sit with and chat with and get to know all of our new members this morning. So we're finishing up our conversation about Earth School and learning our lessons. And today we're talking about resistance. Actually, we were supposed to talk about resistance, and I noticed that I couldn't speak about resistance all by itself. So we're actually going to be talking about resistance and persistence in the journey of our lives, and how we can engage in those things. So that's what we're up to today. Before we get started, we want to make a very special acknowledgement, which is kind of exciting. We'd like to acknowledge really special things that are going on. Tony Shotwell, are you in the room, Tony? If you are, will you stand up? Tony's not in the room at the moment. Tony is a wonderful part of our community. He's an active participant. He comes almost every Sunday, except during election season. You might wonder why that is. It's because he's been a council person in the Grand Prairie City Council for a really long time. And yesterday, they named a recreation center, library, and police station after him. So we found out about that yesterday and wanted to acknowledge him. So when you see Tony, please, please, please tell him congratulations. And what an amazing thing! You see, that's really my secret goal. My secret goal is to infect all of you with the virus of positive spirituality and holistic leadership and business and education training, and then send you out into the world to infect the rest of the world. So it's really wonderful, and we have people on city councils, on the education boards, in corporations just really doing this amazing work. We want to always remember that, yes, we have to do our own healing, we have to do our own growth. We use our spiritual principles to have our lives be an expression of the truth of who we are, but we don't do it in a vacuum. That's why we have community. So we do it together, and then we get to experience in community what that's like, so that we can take it out into the world, into our families, which can be fraught with challenges, into our workplaces, into the culture in which we live, and really be about that critical shift in consciousness. We know how that critical shift in consciousness makes a difference when we achieve that, and how amazing it is that we're going out into the world and bringing that message. So when you see Tony, please do acknowledge him for his amazing work that he's doing in the world. All right. So we'd like to take this opportunity then to invite the greeters forward and to welcome and acknowledge anyone who is here for the first time. If this is your first Sunday with us.
Hi, I'm Petra Weldes, Senior Minister of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, and we're delighted that you found us here on the web. You can find our Sunday services on our website by every Wednesday, and we love that you can look at us online and explore these spiritual teachings. Feel free to explore our archives. It goes back a number of years with lots of special topics and amazing speakers. You can also sign up for our email news, My Daily Words, and my blog, Spiritual Living with Dr. Petra. If you're looking for a spiritual community, come visit us. Or if you're just in Dallas, drop on by. We'd love to give you a hug. Welcome home.
Thank you, Christine. And thank you, fabulous congregation. My name is Joe Tinker. I'm the chair of the core council here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and it is my great pleasure to oversee the next few minutes as we welcome some new members to the community at the Center for Spiritual Living Dallas. The first thing I want to do is let you know I'm smiling so big also because I see this beautiful group of people here in support of our new members, and those of you that show up every week, week in and week out, And so many members already here, sitting behind our newest members, those of you that have already taken that deeper dive into the Center for Spiritual Living and committed to membership. You're the support group of the center. Everything that we have and all that we do is really riding on the support of our members here at the center. So for those of you that made it possible for us to have new members by making sure that we were here, the doors are open, and all the programs are up and running, thank you first and foremost for being the members of the Center for Spiritual Living. We're very grateful for you. To our newest members, thank you for finding us, first of all, and thank you for recognizing what you recognized here, and for being aware of where you wanted to be and how you wanted to be and who you wanted to be with, and choosing us at the Center for Spiritual Living. So we really honor the fact that you really picked us as your family, picked us as your place to be, that you then took the step forward and said, I'll come to those classes and I'll learn more about it and figure out what it is. I want to really thank Christine and Sherry, Christine Volkmer and Sherry Wood, for conducting the new member classes. Let's give them a hand. Without their commitment to explain everything to you and to welcome you in that way, well, this wouldn't be possible. So we're very grateful for their service too. And next I would like to thank our PALs. PALs is an acronym for People as Loving Spirit. And I would like to welcome the PALs that are joining us today. Now these folks are here in support of our newest members. Daphne Edwards, Doreen Breedlove, Lila Castor, Michael Dewey, Christine Volkmer, Angie Dutton, Clyde Goins, and Sharon Whitman. These are all active people in the community. You've seen them if you've been here more than a week or two. You've seen them. They're the doers, the shakers, they're the givers, they're the people who stand for what we're doing here at the center in a big way. And they've stepped forward today to honor these newest members, to welcome them into the community. They represent the rest of you, so all of your energy and good thoughts are really kind of funneling up here towards the front, and they're channeling that right back into these new members. So thank you, pals, for that part. And I hope that we'll see all of you at the lunch afterwards. I want to remind the new members now, so we don't forget, you're going to be treated at the new lunch today. So later, Reverend Petra is going to give you a gift as she acknowledges each of you. Hang on to that gift. Don't give it away, because that is your lunch ticket. You're going to show that. You're going to show that to the teens as you enter into the lunch. And for the rest of us, it's a fabulous fundraiser. Man, if you didn't go through Banking Hall and smell that pulled pork beforehand, you missed a treat. Go over there. You will want to eat that food for sure. Okay, so now what I would like to do is ask if our newest members would please stand and step forward. And Sharon, you can come right over here. I can still see you. Yeah, come step forward really a little bit closer where we can see you. Yes. Take a look at these folks as they represent our congregation welcoming you, and you see in them that commitment that you recognize. They are a model for you. They're the ones that are here taking advantage of the opportunity to serve and to give and to uphold and support the center, and that's a step that you're taking now. And we welcome you in that step of commitment, and we're grateful for your willingness to do that. Now, members, if you would take one turn to your left where you can see the beautiful stained glass to your left. You'll just kind of turn that direction. Yes. So if you haven't really noticed it before, you're seeing the very bottom section of the Science of Mind teaching symbol. That's the big circle. There's the bottom of the circle, the point of the V that cuts through the three planes within the circle. And so actually, if that were extrapolated out into its full size, it would be the largest teaching symbol on the planet of the Science of Mind. So, we have that. We're number one. Everything's bigger in Texas. But really what it represents is our commitment to education, for it is through learning that you're able to then take your spiritual journey out into the world and to reflect this light back out into the places where you work, where you teach, where you live your lives. And so really your commitment to being a member here is also a commitment to your spiritual path, your spiritual journey, and your growth and learning. And we are welcoming you now into those next steps. Please, if you would now turn full face to the congregation where you can see the beautiful people who you're joining. This is your family. Wave at them, everyone. So this is your new family. And they're existing in this place right here, the Center for Spiritual Living, that is now your spiritual home.
Now when I walk into this room and I look into your eyes, well, somehow I am not surprised. It's like I've known you all my life. The sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest. No, I'm not alone. With all those years out on my own, well, I finally found I'm home. And when you hold me in your arms, with no malice and no harm, and all our hearts are open wide, there's no reason to want or to hide. The sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest, to know I'm not alone. With all those years out on my own, well, I finally found I'm home.
Now, Reverend Petra, I'd like to introduce to you these new members of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas. Please hold your applause till after the final blessing. Marcia Boone. Doreen Fisher. Brent Castor. Ann Lynn. Rose Revelli. Leora Lulu Romer. Chuck Roundtree. And Edlika Thompson. Two other graduates, Chantel Robinson and Julia Eberly, had to be absent today.
Now when I look out on this crowd, all that I can see is all I ever dreamed. Looking back at me, the sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest,
welcome you home, to welcome you into the community. And we live in such a transient society. Life is changing all the time and so fast. And people move and they get transferred and they put down roots and then they get them pulled back up again. What we want for you to know is whether you're with us for a day, a year, or a lifetime, we will always be here for you. No matter where you go, no matter what happens for you in your life, we are always here. Now that you're part of our community, this is here for you. Just as we are always here for each other. I'd like for you to stand and we're going to bless our new members. You can put your arms up, your hands up if you choose, symbolizing that love that we shed over them and surround them with. And I would like to invite you to repeat after me. We surround you with our love.
We surround you with our love.
We see the truth of who you are.
We see the truth of who you are.
You are welcome here.
You are welcome here.
I am here for you.
I am here for you.
Let us live in spirit.
Let us live in spirit.
Dance in joy.
Dance in joy.
Support each other.
Support each other.
And grow in love.
And grow in love.
Together.
Together.
So this is my blessing.
This is my blessing.
And my welcome.
And my welcome.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Got the rain cloud and the sunshine.
hot in here. And so actually these air conditioning units all look fine. So I'm going to ask you guys up in the sound booth if you would check your air conditioning unit up there and see, make sure it's running about 73. Sometimes that one doesn't get changed. And if it's reading 80, it's probably really hot down there. So thank you. Just wanted to check that. Yes, thank you, Andrew. That was really beautiful. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work right. Sometimes it's too hot, or it's too cold, or something's not right. And boy, can we get frustrated and have resistance about that, can't we? One of the reasons why, as you know, we're looking for a new space is because we actually don't know completely how our air conditioning system works in this building. Really, I am totally serious. We have been here 8 years, and we have plotted and replotted, and we've had more air conditioning people into this to figure out which thermostat runs which rooms and which system, and we still are not clear. Plus, I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but part of the reason why sometimes we have an issue with the sound is because of this prow of the ship we have right here. So we have all this 2-story space, and then all of a sudden it's 1 story, and so the sound all bounces off those walls. And the people in the sound booth up there do an amazing job to try to, have it work. Too loud, and sometimes it's too quiet, and sometimes it's not mixed right, and these would be some of the reasons why we're moving. and let me just tell you that there has been resistance around these problems now for 8 years. And finally, you know what happened? We simply accepted that this is the way this building is. So we don't want the building anymore, thank you very much. Sometimes we use our spiritual principles to accept that which is actually not worth accepting. Sometimes we use our spiritual principles to say, well, it's okay, we should just be okay with it, and we forget that we can set an intention, and we can say, you know what, this just really isn't working exactly the way that we would like for it to work. So we're actually going to set an intention and do something different. And that can require effort and movement and consistent intentionality. That's what it means to be on the journey, to have a destination and to start moving towards it. Now, on the other hand, we can find ourselves stuck in our resistance. And we can allow our resistance to hold us in place and actually never move forward on the journey. So that's what we want to explore a little bit this morning. We're talking about resistance and persistence in our journey. Actually, I was originally going to just talk about resistance because that was the title for today from our Joyous Living Journal. Actually, it was the title for yesterday, and I thought, you know what, I cannot talk about that in and of itself without recognizing that there's this other side to the story. And so, actually, we are working with the last three journal entries in the Joyous Living Journal. Yesterday was Resistance is Futile. Today is the Journey, and tomorrow is Don't Quit. And those are actually the 3 pieces. That which holds us back, that which moves us forward, and then what do we do in the meantime? That's the being part of the journey. So we're going to talk about some tools that we can use to move through our resistance, look at how do we engage our persistence, and then think about how do we really allow ourselves to be present for the journey itself. I looked for this clip. I wanted to show you this clip this morning. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it. I don't know if it was posted on Facebook or how I got it. This was a number of weeks ago, and it's done by gag.com. And it's sort of the modern day YouTube version of Candid Camera. And you don't have to raise your hand to let us know that you know about Candid Camera, because that would really date us, right? But it's sort of the modern day version of Candid Camera. Excuse me, I don't know what all else they do. So there's this little video, YouTube video, and it's these 4 little old people, and they are getting ready to cross the street because they're in the bakery. going to the bakery this morning. So first little old lady, she starts to walk across. The second little old lady, she's got her walker. She's walking with the walker across the street. And the third little old man is in his wheelchair, and he's doing his wheelchair across the street. And the fourth little old lady has one of those little three-pronged walkers, and she's walking across the street. And the light has changed, and so they set off at a snail's pace. And they're walking across the street. And then the light, and people are starting to get to the light. It's, it's red for them, and then they're about, I don't know, a quarter of the way across, and the light turns green. But of course, they're walking across the street, so all those people have to wait. And then the light turns red, and all those people, there's more cars coming, and then they're about halfway across the street. And from the inside of the bakery comes a hand, and it turns the open to closed. And the lady in front, she says, "Oh, it's closed. Turn around, go back, go back." And they set off, and they start going back. And they're working their way back, and there's another light change. And they're continuing to move, and there's another light change. And all the while now, the video is panning back and forth between these four people walking across, and the people in the cars. It's pretty funny, all the gestures. I'm certain you would recognize some of them yourself. All the gestures, and you can see the gamut of, "I gotta go, man, I'm late," to, "I can't believe you people," to, "Oh my gosh," to, "Okay." All right, the whole gamut of how we engage with something like that. And you can see the resistance starting to build. Could you get out of the way? So they're halfway back. They're like halfway back. The little old lady with the little walker, she's up on this curb, and they're like getting about, they're maybe two-thirds of the way back over there. And the baker comes around the corner. And he comes around the corner and he says, no, it's open, come on. And he goes inside and he turns it open again. And she says, "It's open," and they all turn around. And they're so excited. They're three-quarters of the way back, and the one woman, she cannot wait. She's so excited. She's fumbling in her pocket to pull out her change to buy whatever it is in the bakery she's going to buy. And of course, what happens is the change. And so they all huddle around and try to pick up the change. Oh my goodness. I do have to admit, at this point, I didn't actually see anybody who had steam coming out of their ears, but we did see a whole plethora of responses to this. And finally, a couple people at the very front, they get out of their cars, bless their hearts, they get out of their cars to help pick up the change to get these people across the road so they can go wherever they're going. And just as they're starting to pick up the change, the little old man is in his wheelchair. He gets up out of the wheelchair and he says, "Ha, ha, ha, there's the camera watching what's going on. You all have been on camera." Of course, they all laugh hysterically. And, gag.com. Okay. In this moment of experience like this, resistance is futile. Yes? How many of you have been in a situation like that? When I used to go home towards Capel, occasionally I would catch the train, the freight train, the 152-car freight train that would be crossing Belmont at 4 miles an hour. And I would be so ready to be home. And the more ready I was at home to be home, and the more frustrated I was by that train, the slower it went, right? And the moment that I could just relax into it and take a moment and breathe and do a little meditation or check Facebook or answer an email, boy, that train was gone and I was home. Yes. Right? Resistance is futile. And it's not just outer resistance, that resistance to outer things that we really want to pay attention to. Actually, even more importantly, is the resistance to the things that are going on within us. Sometimes the resistance to outer things, we take that as a message that something's wrong, or we're not following our bliss, or Spirit doesn't want us to have something. I mean, we could be so in resistance to the air and the sound in here that we could say, "Oh, Spirit really doesn't want us to have a very good building. I guess we're not doing it right." Do you see, we can tell ourselves that story when it's somehow outer resistance. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about persistence. Actually, even deeper than that is the idea that we are resistant to what's going on within us. The idea of psychological resistance comes from Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. And it is the notion that as we begin to embark on our own personal and spiritual growth, well, I don't know about you, but I've certainly noticed resistance. I can be resistant to a new idea or a perspective. What do you mean I should look at this differently? Surely the way that I look at it is the correct way to look at it. Y'all are not looking at it correctly. What, you want a new idea or a new perspective? Or we tend to resist a new way of being in the world or a new behavior. And they did a lot of research, Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, they did a lot of research on how much this resistance stops us from healing our trauma, moving forward, learning about how to be different in the world, and even in our spiritual practice, how much resistance we have to the notion that we are the divine made manifest. I mean, it's truly, I know I spent a lot of years recognizing that that was true for everybody else, but clearly I was the divine exception. God was manifested in all of you all, but I knew my own unworthiness or my own, yeah, but I do this and this and this and this, so clearly that's not true for me, because if I were really the divine made manifest, I wouldn't X, Y, Z. How many of us do that? We have resistance to the truth of our being. We have resistance to releasing a way of behaving, whether it's an addiction, whether it's anger, whether it's resentment, unforgiveness. I forgive that jerk? Are you kidding me? I'm never forgiving that jerk. And then we have resistance to the very idea that allows or opens up our healing. We have resistance to the idea that we can actually move through it. Well, I just can't stop thinking about it, you know. I just can't change my mind about it. I just can't get around it. I just can't. You see, and each time, what we're doing is we are demonstrating, we're giving power to our resistance. Carl Jung, he really spent a lot of time talking about this and working with this. This is what you've heard this before. What we resist persists. The very thing that we resist persists. He has a really fascinating metaphor, demonstration of this. His story, the way that he talks about it is like this. Let's say you need to go across a bridge to get where you want to go. This is your journey in life. This is your new business is over there, your promotion is over there, your loved one is over there, whatever it is, you have to go across this bridge to get where you want to go. But you're afraid of heights. And you're not actually sure that you believe that the people who built the bridge did a very good job because you were not in charge of it. And you've seen other people get across that bridge and they've gotten stuck on it, and by God, that is not going to happen to you. Opinion, criticism, judgment, primarily fear. We're afraid that if we step on the bridge, something bad is going to happen. Something about that is not okay with us, and so what happens is we experience our fear of crossing the bridge, and so we resist crossing the bridge. We allow our fear to tell us how to behave, and we resist crossing the bridge. Now, if we resist crossing the bridge, what do you think happens? Nothing. We never cross the bridge. Our fear persists, and our inability to cross the bridge and get to the other side persists. If we resist the very experience that we're afraid of, if we resist moving through that, if we resist acknowledging it, experiencing it, and working with it, we will actually never cross the bridge and get to that thing on the other side. And so the experience of being separated from our good, the experience of our fear, over and over and over again, you see it continues to persist. That which we resist persists. So what do we do about this? How do we move through this experience? Well, the first thing that Carl Jung says is you actually have to acknowledge that you have fear. And you have to stop blaming the bridge. Stop blaming the bridge builders, blaming the weather, blaming the fact that the thing you want is on the other side, right? Because all of that makes that out there. It's all that stuff out there. When actually the truth is, the thing that keeps us from stepping on the bridge is our own fear about it. So we have to simply acknowledge the fear, and we have to accept that we're afraid. And we have to accept that we actually have to cross the bridge. We have to acknowledge and accept that this is the way through. This is the way to overcome our obstacle, to actually move in that very direction. Not fight it, and not resist it, push against it. I wish I weren't afraid. If only I weren't afraid I could do this. Blame the bridge, blame the fear, all of that sort of stuff. But to actually acknowledge, yes, actually, I'm afraid, and I'm uncomfortable, and I'm going to do it anyway. Right? And that's what we teach in our spiritual tools. We teach in our spiritual living that when we know the truth of who we are, when we know Spirit is present, when we know the infinite reality of the universe is supporting us, then we have what we need to move through our fear, that we will be able to face it and work with it. Now, I want to be very clear. There are actually some things that are worth being afraid of. Okay? I would not want this fellow to come into my tent, thank you very much. So there's a reason why we have fear and pain. 10% of the fear and pain that we experience is in fact real. It does hurt when we stub our toe. We should be afraid if we decided that we wanted to dart across 635 in the middle of rush hour traffic. That would be a good time to have fear and to actually pay attention to it and say, okay, this is not a good idea, don't do this. So there are real things to be afraid of. The problem is that we take that and we apply it to every time that we have a moment of anxiety and fear, and we think, oh my God, it's real. It's a bear's going to come and eat us. Yeah, not so much, not so likely. Right? Our fear comes from past beliefs, false ideas, old stories that we got from our childhood, experiences that we've had that we decided, well, this is how life is, and we've never actually stopped and acknowledged our fear and asked it, is it real? Can we do it anyway? Are we really going to die if we do this? It was interesting. I put a little thing out on Facebook on resistance because I was noticing myself. Let me just tell you how annoying it is. I have to live through every talk I'm ever going to give you. So what do you think I've been dealing with the last 2 weeks? All the ways and places that I have resistance. It's very annoying. And so, but I think the Spirit just wants to be sure that I know what I'm talking about. I'm standing up here. So I put a little post out on Facebook. I think when I was not paying attention, resistance crept in, and now I'm dealing with it. How do you deal with it? So the responses were grouped into 3 different areas, which I found fascinating and resonated a great deal with me. The one set of responses was, well, we find ourselves in resistance, in fear. The first thing to do is to become still, to meditate, to focus on our breath, to become still, and to enter into the silence so we can see what's really going on. Is it really a bear? Or is it something else that might really be going on? And one person said, in that stillness, I open my heart. I actually accept the experience that I'm having, the feeling that I'm having, and I allow myself to be with it. So that's kind of a going within. We can acknowledge our resistance and go within. A whole other group of people, they engage in something physical. One person says, get into my body. I get into my body, and that helps me break through the resistance. I go and exercise, go to the gym, and break out of the sort of inertia that can happen, and just the movement. Another young man, Kevin, he writes, well, I just go and I tear down or I remodel a wall in my house, and then I decide to paint it. He said, actually, I have one wall in my house that's 2 inches thicker than all the other walls. All the times I've gone in there and painted it. So to physically break it up. Some of us need that, that movement to break things up so that we can move forward. And then the third grouping was to really contemplate what's going on, what's the resistance, what's the fear. Carrie, she wrote this, I thought this was beautiful. She said, I lean into it until I fall through. I lean into my resistance and fear until I fall through on the other side. And other people spoke about asking, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? Really, are you going to fall off the bridge? Is the bridge really going to fall out in front of underneath you? Really, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And then what? And then what? And what's the best thing that can happen? Okay, so do you see we're acknowledging it and really looking at it? Krishnamurti says this, what is needed, rather than running away or controlling or suppressing or any other resistance, is understanding fear. That means watch it, learn about it, come directly into contact with it. We are to learn about fear, not how to escape from it. To lean into it. Do you see, that's the acceptance part of it. That's the acknowledgement part of it. We don't deny that we're having fear. We don't deny that we're like, a little worried about how this is all going to go. We acknowledge it, we accept it, and then we see what's there to learn. Oh, it's revealing an old belief I have. Oh, it's revealing a way of behaving in the world that doesn't work for me anymore. Oh, it's revealing the fact that I like to blame other people, or I like to control things, or I like to I'm going to say that somebody else has to make it happen. Do you see, all these things become revealed to us when we are willing to acknowledge and accept that we are in resistance or fear. Now, what we don't want to do is stay there. We do not want to stay there. We do at some point then want to say, but I actually want to get across that bridge. I'm actually going over there. And sometimes we take this acknowledgement of fear and resistance as if it's a message from the universe that says you can't or shouldn't go across the bridge. But if that's the direction we're going in, and we've set our intention, and we know that that's the expression of our heart's desire, then moving in that direction requires the next piece of it, which is persistence. Calvin Coolidge says this, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not, genius will not, education will not. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So we actually have to acknowledge and experience our own resistance, acknowledge our fear, and then be persistent in the direction of our dreams. Now, some of you have heard this story before, and I'll tell you, this was probably the first experience that I had of looking at my resistance and moving through it with persistence. And that was when I decided at 19 I wanted to become a minister. I wanted to be a spiritual leader of a community. I wanted to do this work. I wanted to dive into ministerial school, into the seminary, and go for it. And so I was 19 years old and I applied. And I got back a very nice letter. There, little girl. Thank you so much for applying. No. And I said, what do you mean no? No, you don't understand. Really, actually, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I applied again, and I got another nice letter that said, thank you so much for your application. We really need for you to just go have a life. Go have a life, and when you're 45 or 50, come back and apply. And then you can start ministerial training. So if I'd have done that, I would barely be graduating right now. And I've had a 30-year, next year I'll be 30 years in ministry. And let me tell you that I had a moment of, well, the universe doesn't seem to be supporting me. Is this really what I should be doing? And then I had a moment of, well, who do you think you are? Do you really think that you have anything to say? What do you think? And I had all that self-questioning, all that doubt, and I could feel myself feeling my own feelings. And I actually said, no, really, you don't understand. This is what I'm called to do with my life. So I applied a third time, and I got a third no. And and I said, no, really, you don't understand. I'm crossing that bridge. I'm crossing that bridge. So myself and my mentor, Dr. Jim Munson, who was the minister at the center in Seattle at the time, and a gentleman, Dr. Glenn Wood, who had been the dean of the ministerial training in Los Angeles, had retired, moved to Seattle. The three of us, well, we just started our own ministerial training. And we told them, we wrote them a letter. I said, we're starting our own ministerial training. We're doing exactly the training that you're doing down there. We're using all of the curriculum that you're using, and we expect when we graduate in 4 years to be able to take the licensing exams and to become Signs of Mind ministers in the Centers for Spiritual Living, whatever it was called back then. And they said no. And I said, no, you really don't understand. So we just started. We had 8 people in the first graduating class. I think I went through that training with 15 or 20 people because, of course, each year we added more people. And it wasn't until the end of the second year that they looked at it and they said, "You're really serious about this, aren't you?" Well, let's look at what you're doing, and if you're really doing the same thing, we'll consider it. And of course, at that moment, right, there was a lot of fear that came up. What if we've wasted 4 years of our lives doing this training and they don't accept it? And that's when I said to my own fear, and I said to Spirit, no, really, you don't understand. This is what I'm going to do. And sure enough, it didn't take them very long. And then they said, oh yeah, we see that you're doing the same thing. It's really great. And of course, now we have campuses all over the country, branches with, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 of them, however many it is now. Because we were persistent. We were persistent in the face of our outer resistance and our own inner worry about it. Michael Jordan says this: if you're trying to achieve, there will be roadblocks. I've had them, everyone has had them. But obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around or give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. This is actually my favorite one. The Buddha says this: in the confrontation between stream and rock, the stream will always win, not through strength, but through persistence. It is actually why they call it Chinese water torture. I think we tortured them into submission, quite frankly, with no, actually, this is what we're going to do. But do you see, when it's the recognition of what's going on with us, the recognition of where we're going, and then being persistent in it. We actually need both of those things. We need to recognize where we're the ones who are creating the resistance within us, and we need to be persistent toward our goal. Now, the other piece of this is that we can be so busy learning and growing through our acknowledgement of resistance, and we can be so busy intending where we're going that we miss the journey. We miss that we're actually on this beautiful beach riding this gorgeous horse towards the finish line. And so we actually want to pay attention to the process. We want to be, be present. So in our book from this month, Dennis Merritt Jones, that we've been reading, he has 2 wonderful things I want to close with. In terms of the fact that we actually want to enjoy the journey. We want to be engaged in the daily process. He says this: as we master the art of uncertainty, we learn the value and meaning of being present. Because in every now moment there lies a silent blessing we might have otherwise overlooked. Isn't it amazing how often we don't take time to truly appreciate something until it's gone? We get complacent and slip into a take life for granted mode. In other words, we get comfortable with our perceived certainties. And he quotes Thich Nhat Hanh. I love this. When we have a toothache, we know that not having a toothache is happiness. But later, when we don't have a toothache, we don't treasure our non-toothache. Practicing mindfulness helps us learn to appreciate the well-being that is already there. Do you see, practicing mindfulness helps us recognize and notice when we're in resistance, but it also helps us recognize and notice when we're not. And we've done a growth, we have had a growth moment, we've learned something, and now we're moving forward. And so he closes this with the way in which we move into that now moment. is the mindful breath. The mindful breath moves us into the moment of being present. Andy Rooney says this, I love this, everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you are climbing it. It's in the journey. It's in the journey that there's the joy. It's in the journey that we experience the truth. So I'm going to invite you to go within with me. And I'm going to ask you the question that Dennis Merritt Jones asks at the end of this book. How are you breathing right now? And by that, I don't just mean in and out. Go to your breath and witness how are you breathing. Now take an intentional deep breath, intentionally and mindfully breathing, and feel the difference. Notice how it brings us right into this moment. That breath centers us right in the here and now. This breath causes us to be present enough to be in our bodies, to fully be wherever we are, in the journey. So let us this morning take that breath and allow it to anchor us in our own journey, wherever we might be. That it is from this place that we can acknowledge our resistance, that we can access our persistence. Most importantly, it is from this place that we live, truly live the life and the path and the journey that we're on. This breath we can take wherever we go. In any moment, circumstance, or situation, this breath is available to us. Breathe with me now. Deep, intentional breath. Right there at the center. Right there. We find the divine. Always present. Always available. Always lifting, loving, and supporting us. We breathe into it. We trust it. We call it good. And so it is.